Welcome back to Gone Wandering as we continue our exploration of Florida. We visited a turtle hospital on Marathon, which is on one of the keys. So anyone know why it's called a key and not an island? Well, keys are made up of coral and seashells versus islands are made up of rock. And that's why they're called keys. So turtles have two enemies. Turtles, not being the smartest, will eat just about anything, which includes straws, lighters, sunglasses, anything that falls into the water, plastic bags, etc. The problem with this is that it plugs up the digestive system, and when that happens, they form gas bubbles in their digestion, and they can't submerge anymore. So they're found floating on the surface. If they're lucky, they're found floating on the surface, and they're brought to this turtle hospital. If they're not found and brought to the turtle hospital, they will eventually die just floating on the surface. The second thing that'll kill them, I'll let our guide explain.
All right, last thing that we'll talk about today is boat strikes. As I've already mentioned, we have a lot of shallow water here in the Florida Keys. And unlike a land turtle, a sea turtle cannot pull its head and its flippers inside of its shell to protect itself. Furthermore, as you can see here, the spine and the ribs, the actual vertebrae, are fused directly to the shell. This is bone, the shell is bone. This is part of their skeletal structure. It actually holds their body cavity inside. So when we're looking at turtles that have external shell damage as a result of a boat strike, we are almost always looking at internal broken bones and internal organ damage as well. Now we can do a lot to help these turtles, but we cannot actually fix those shells. But because they're bone, they will eventually regenerate and fuse back together given enough time. Now we do use a natural topical antibiotic pretty extensively here at the hospital. Anybody have a guess as to what that could be? Natural topical antibiotic? I heard it.
Honey.
How do you know that?
Pardon me?
How do you know that?
Over there.
You read that over there, very good. It's actually honey, yes. Honey is a natural antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal compound. It stimulates the turtle's natural immune system, and it's nice and sticky, so it stays on for a good long time in the water. And he is the very first patient who was ever diagnosed with what we affectionately call here at the hospital bubble butt syndrome in honor of this guy. It is officially known as positive buoyancy disorder. Now basically what happens is these turtles get hit by boats, their internal organs malfunction, and they begin to release microbubbles of air and gas that then get trapped underneath the turtle's shell. As you can imagine, a turtle with an air bubble in its shell becomes a floating turtle. And as we've already discussed, that is really problematic for turtles out in the wild. Second problem happens when that shell begins to molt and grow over top of that air bubble, permanently sealing a cavity within the shell of this turtle. Now, unfortunately, once the morphology of the shell has been permanently altered, it is too late for us to intervene, and these turtles then become non-releasable turtles. Now they can be rehomed, so if a zoo or aquarium decides that they would like to add a sea turtle to their exhibit, they can request one of these non-releasable guys. We will, of course, promise them a forever home once they get here to the turtle hospital, and we do know how to improve their quality of life and make them more comfortable once they arrive, and we do that by adding these weights to the back of their shells. Now those weights are a different weight and a different position and location for each individual turtle based on what their individual needs are. And the point of the weights is to return the turtles to their neutral buoyancy states. So they now get a choice as to whether they dive down to the bottom of their habitat for a nice nap or whether they come up to the surface for a big breath of air. Now, those weights will fall off about every 3 to 6 months as the turtle shells continue to molt and flake away, which is why we can't put the weighted turtles back out in the wild. But looks like she's getting ready to pop up for a breath, so get your cameras ready. Vendor, can we see your pretty face, please? On cue. Come on, pretty girl. There she is. Did everybody see that? Yeah? That was breathtaking. Get it? She took a breath? Breathtaking? Alright.
The Turtle Hospital, in my mind, is one of the real highlights. If you make it down to the Keys, you really need to go there. And please, no matter where you are, if you see trash, pick it up. We spent 4 days at the Everglades National Park. There are 2 campgrounds, but we stayed at the Flamingo because it's close to the ocean and saw some amazing wildlife. A great option if you're coming to Everglades. They've got these little tent structures that you can rent out. Oh, and the ocean is right behind me here. This area is one of the only places in the United States you can see crocodiles. Everything else we've been seeing up to this point has been alligators. The only time you can see them is when they're sunning themselves up on the banks. We only got to see them moving around just a few times, and never could catch them on video. We also saw more birds and varieties than one could count. So cool. We also saw a bunch of alligators and manatees, but I'm gonna leave those for another video. We had to make a day trip from Flamingo Campground all the way down to Key West because the camping at this time of the year is virtually impossible. Most of these folks book a year in advance, and of course with our planning skills we don't book at all, so we made the 3+ hour drive down to Key West. Here we are in downtown Key West with a cruise ship docked pretty close by. Lots of stores and music coming from all the outdoor patios and bars. So Ernest Hemingway actually had a summer home here, I guess it would be. I don't know. We don't know any of the history. Behind us here is the house, but it's late in the day and we're just going to pass it by this time. Well, this is it. I think we've hit the end of our road in Florida. We're at the southernmost point.
Yep, it's the end.
The only thing left is water, so.
Unless we had a boat, which we don't.
Thanks for coming along. We'll see you next week.